but after such bloodshed, the question of who rebuilds and runs Gaza into the future remains really big questions. Joining me now is former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. Prime Minister, thank you so much for joining us here on the programme. You and I have spoken multiple times over the course of the last 12 months or so. I just want to get your feelings on the possibility of this ceasefire. There is optimism this evening, at least in the region, that hopefully this time round this ceasefire can hold.
Well, obviously, Yalda, when you hear that there is an agreement and it's been approved and confirmed by all sides, and that 33 hostages are going to be coming back to their homes, to their families, to Adam's family, as you heard him speaking from the bottom of his heart, I mean, everyone is happy. But then we have to think about the broader picture. There are still 65 hostages which are going to be kept for an indefinite period of time. And no one knows for sure whether there will be a second phase and how it will look like, and whether this agreement will, in the first place, will hold for the period that it was designated. So there are many uncertainties still in this context, and we can't ignore them. We hope, we pray, we yearn, we will do everything that we can in order to impact at least our side, to carry on and to protect this. But we can't, hide our doubts as to how it will develop.
Yeah, like you say, Prime Minister, so many questions at this point, so much anxiety on the eve of this potential ceasefire, coming into force by Sunday, just a day before Donald Trump's inauguration.
There is not really an agreement for a permanent ceasefire. There is an agreement for a temporary ceasefire for, I think, about 42 days, maybe 6 weeks. And the return of only 33 hostages. There are still more hostages, and we don't know how many of them will be alive when this phase will end, and then how it will then develop into a meaningful contact after this phase. We don't know. So there is not an agreement about the end of the war, and therefore we couldn't bring back all the hostages. And I think that we have to stop the war now. This is what all the Israelis want, to stop the war now. There is nothing that we can achieve militarily that we didn't already. And if we wait, we may not have back most of the hostages, which are still abducted by the Hamas. Therefore, there is a joy, there is a degree of relief felt by most of the Israelis, and yet at the same time there is a very strong feeling of doubt and of fear that it may end with this phase and we will not see the others.
Yes, which I wanted to get to. You've spoken about the need for some kind of permanent peace and a permanent ceasefire to reach some kind of agreement so that there is finally some kind of respite for the Palestinians, for Israelis. You were the Prime Minister that came closest to that idea of a Palestinian statehood. You've written about it in the last few months as well. Are you optimistic that perhaps this could be the moment that, this was a moment of rock bottom for both sides, that perhaps something more positive could emerge from it?
I certainly hope so, but I'm not certain. I'd be far from being certain because I haven't seen yet the leadership from my side, to start with, that is prepared to consider even what will be the next phase on a broader political picture, not just the ceasefire, but what is the political horizon which is proposed, which is discussed, which is contemplated by the leaders of the State of Israel. And I don't see a comparable approach by the Palestinian leadership. The main really the fundamental issue that we have to deal with is this. We have broken the military power of Hamas. Okay, let's assume that in the next few weeks or next couple of months, we will eliminate all of the Hamas fighters. There will not be one Hamas fighter remaining alive in Gaza. And then what? We still have 6 million Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank. What are we going to do with them? What are we going to do with ourselves in relation to them? Is this something that we even think about? I took the initiative together with a political partner from the other side, from the Palestinian side, the former foreign minister and the ambassador to the United Nations of the Palestinian Authority, Dr. Nasser al-Kidwa, and together we published a joint proposal signed by us already half a year ago that outlines the parameters for ending of the war in Gaza, returning all the hostages, releasing Palestinian prisoners, building a new administration that will take over the running of the affairs of Gaza instead of Hamas, and building a security power that will prevent Hamas from returning back into any position of power in Gaza. And then starting the negotiation for a comprehensive peace on the principle, on the basis of the principle of two states between us and the Palestinians. This is a political horizon. This is a direction. This is something that can establish a certain genuine hope for something that will develop. I don't see yet a Palestinian leadership and an Israeli leadership that is prepared to come to this point and to move forward towards this direction. And without it, we are going to have more of the same.
Yeah. Prime Minister Ehud Olmert, we're always grateful for your time. Thank you very much for joining us.